We are live, 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 live. We are live. I'm just playing a little bit of music there to get her started. Check, check, check. Mic is good. Okay. I am live. Live, live, live. Check, check, check. Mic is good. Check, check. Okay. Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the monthly live stream Q&A for the month of September. What's up, Ogre? So let's people trickle in. Again, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. I am going to, as always, answer the community post questions first. Get those out of the way, and then I will just shoot the breeze and interact with people in the chat. Slow mode for chat is on. Helps me keep track of the chat, but also keep any spamming bots away. It's like 10-second slow mode. So, Watertight, yo, what's up, bro? How you doing? Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. So I'm going to answer the community post questions here first real quick. And then we'll just get to hanging out, shooting the breeze. First off, greens, Tripel, 8.5 ABV, 8.5 horsepower. It is Thirsty Thursday, and it is happy hour. So join me for a brew, if you so please. Cheers, everyone. Ogre just did 18 lawns and 2 true jobs in 14 and a half hours. That's a good long day for work. Make that money, bro. I actually spent yesterday helping out a buddy. He's got a disability, but he lives out in a cabin. I was helping him maintain some of his property and stuff, as a, he's a homie, so helping him out and clear some stuff and did some brush burning and other stuff and all that good stuff. So let's get it on. Woo! Woo! Cheers. Drinking a Tripel, 8.5% horsepower. It is happy hour, so cheers, everyone. Again, I'm going to answer the community post questions first here real quick, and then I'll just shoot the breeze with everyone here. So bear with me, get these questions answered. I don't have many, and then, yeah, we'll just hang out. So first question from the community posts was from ACR Protect. Thanks, as always, for your great questions, man. Let's see. He asks, in a SHTF situation, what are your 3 choices of firearms? Next, do you stay where you are or bug out? And then he's got some other questions along with it. Would you rather swim in shark-infested waters or alligator-infested waters? So, a couple of questions here. I'll try and make them quick. So, SHTF situation, 3 choices of firearms. Whatever's going to be most accessible ammunition-wise and sustainability-wise. Personally, up here in my neck of the woods, AK ammo is still pretty prevalent. I got plenty of it, as do my mag. So that's a platform apart from 5.56, some 5.56 platform of some kind using, Stenag mag standard platform. And then 308, plenty of hunting cartridge around. So, whether it's a defensive rifle, sniper rifle, battle rifle, like my FAL or G3 or anything like that, apart from a bolt gun or whatever. You got plenty of options there for hunting sustainability as much as a combat capability and defensive capability otherwise. Ancillary, apart from, if not an AK type platform, then a pistol of some kind just for the low profile considerations if you have to go in and out of an urban environment. That plays into the other part of that question. Would I stay put or would I bug out? It just depends on the situation, because there's a lot of different situations, and some of them you wouldn't have to E&E, escape and evade. Some of you would. So it really depends on the situation. I have plans for all of them. So, as everyone should. And be sure to go check out my logistics planning and discussions playlist, because there's a lot of really good videos in there with information, TTPs, some education and training format stuff, as well as some discussion videos and things like that. So all that's in there gives you some idea of kind of my thought process and some thought process of other professionals and just some of the nuances of TTPs and operational practices and tradecraft things and all all that kind of stuff to take into consideration. So be sure to go check out that playlist on my channel. So good questions there. Thank you. The other one was, would I rather swim in shark infested waters or alligator infested waters? Shark infested waters. Generally deeper and wider, just a broader scope of water to swim in. I would take my chances with the sharks over the gators. You don't want to be in the water with gators, man. Radical Rifleman, what's up, man? Yeah, good stuff. Green beans, ogre. I'm not sure what you mean there, but yeah, no, that was a good question, AC Architect. Thank you for that question. I would do shark infested waters over gator infested waters any day. Let's see, Jerry J. Thanks for the question, bud. Anyone who doesn't know Jerry J, you probably see him in the chat and comments for a number of different people and videos and things like that. Pretty well-versed guy, one of our friends over there in Europe. He asks, spoon or fork? Probably a spoon. It's a little more versatile. And there's secondarily not really as much that is as lethal as a grunt with his MRE spoon, right? I keep a titanium, longer handle titanium spoon as one of my eating utensils in my field kit. So I would go with the spoon over a fork. It's just a little more utilitarian, I think. I like both, and sporks are cool too, but yeah, probably a spoon in that case. two seconds. I'll get to your questions here in the chat. There's just a couple other comments, actually. There wasn't any more community post questions. Special Projects Development Group, friends of mine, like crabs, all things end with Glock. Damn straight. Pinnacle of wisdom. Glock gang. Somebody else asked where the high point is. They can get the hell out of here. All right. That's all the community post questions. There wasn't many. All right. So let's see here. Who else has joined? Observing Observatory said woo. Woo. Let's see. Large ogre green beans for dinner. Oh, okay. Green bean casserole, because that's pretty good. Let's see. Tuck my V. Heard shark infested over gator infested. Laughs in Floridian. Yeah. I'm glad I don't live in Florida. Fun to visit, and I got friends there, but I would never live in Florida long term. No. Y'all just dodged a hurricane again, too. Louisiana got hit. Warrior Tight knows what I'm talking about. Warrior Tight says, duck or cat? SHTF food. Duck. Plenty of waterfowl around my area. So no shortage of duck and geese, duck and goose or anything like that. So we can plenty of that to hunt up here. Apart from turkey, we have a lot of turkey. We have grouse and a number of plentiful resources otherwise up here. So would never, yeah, no. Plentiful resources. Let's see. Ogre, what's your thoughts on these gangs from other countries? They're a problem. It is a major security issue. Just from a reasonable and sensible security perspective, they are a risk. They are a problem. Gonna have to deal with them just as much as any other adversaries that we have to deal with. So they're obviously already becoming a problem, so they need to get nipped in the bud. Practical Rifleman, leave the favorite. Let's see. Ogre goose season opens up this weekend. Our turkey season opens up Saturday, so that's when our turkey season starts. I think our goose season starts right around then too. I think it might be another week until our goose season starts, but yeah, turkey season goes for a while. It goes till I think mid-October, near the end of October. And then, yeah, waterfowl season's about that long too. So, and then once November hits, that's when our deer season starts. Well, bow starts early for deer. They get a much longer period of time than muzzleloader and centerfire rifle parts of the season and stuff. Time to play duck hunt. Right. It's going to be a good year for it. Plenty of very, very abundant, uh, stock to hunt this year. So, Yeti's uncle, what's up, you metalhead? Hey, bro, how you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Fire away with questions, topics to talk about in the chat, comments, whatever. Fire questions, fire away. I am just hanging out, drinking a 8.5% Tripel because I'm a beer snob. Gladly admitted beer snob. And yeah, just having a brew and cheers everyone, having a good time. Monthly Q&A, so answering your questions. So fire away in the chat. Yeah, damn right. Anything under 5% is water. What's the point? What's the point of drinking, freaking half a case of low grade domestic piss lager when you could have a couple of good brews and enjoy it with a good meal because it's supposed to be drank, and just have a couple of these and you're good to go. Like, doesn't make sense to binge drink really low grade, crappy domestic beers. A lot of great craft brews and microbrews and stuff around the country. So go check those out. Support your local micro and craft breweries. Support, local businesses. Pretty common sense, right? Yeti's uncle, what do you expect to happen post-election societally? It's really up in the air. A lot of things can happen. I was having a good discussion with Practical Rifleman and some other people in a private group chat that we have, and looking at the economics of it, that's gonna drive a lot of what happens with the societal impact. If it becomes even more unaffordable for people to just live day to day, cost of living and everything, that's going to be a problem. If we see another bubble pop, which like 2008, but it's going to be far worse, that's a potential. Like there's a number of different factors of things that could potentially happen. I don't like to speculate. I just like to monitor and just make my decisions on objective real-time information as best as possible. I try not to speculate all that much, but there's a number of different things that could happen potentially. So Ogre, do you think that the Minuteman groups should deal with these criminals? While we have law and order, no, it should be a law and order. It should be a legal issue. It should be immigration. It should be ICE dealing with it. It should be law enforcement and sheriff's offices dealing with it. It should be all those. It should be locking down the border and all that stuff. Just the sensible things to do from a national security perspective. It's pretty common sense. Yeti's uncle, well said, sir. You gotta call me sir. I work for a living. But thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. Ogre, the kids costing roughly $200 a day to live. Yeah, and you live out in New York. Ogre lives out in New York, and it's expensive to live out there. Yeah, no way in hell, man. And that's why you're breaking your back every day to just freaking get by, right? Watertight. If kinetic civil war happened in the U.S., do you think we could see foreign financiers helping different factions with funding and logistics, etc.? Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you already see it with funding different PACs and independent organizations and NGOs and a number of other things. So whether it's the China connection, whether it's the Russia connection, whatever it is, yeah, you could see that. You could, if that situation happened. Again, big if. A lot of hypotheticals. Yeti's uncle, very true. A lot of people behaving badly, unfortunately. Yep. People don't know how to freaking act anymore this day and age. A little bit of tact and just abiding by the cultural practices in the place that you're living kind of goes a long way. A little bit of courtesy, you know. Use this thing, right? So yeah, sadly, none of the agencies are doing their jobs, but that's not line unit personnel's fault. It's coming from orders and administration up high. You know, they're trying to do their jobs at the front line, but they're not being allowed to. They're being prevented from doing that, and that's a problem. So, what's the proper recourse? We all know what the proper recourse is. It's just elections have to happen, and the right decisions have to be made. As long as better people get into office. There's not really a great option out there right now, but there is a better option, a lesser evil than the other, so to speak. Everyone does need to vote. Everyone that says, oh, my vote doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it does. Whether it's local level or nationally, it does matter. Go vote. If you don't want to vote, go run for office. Do something. But you have to be involved as a citizen. So voting is one of the lowest level things you can do there. Watertight, driving across Lake Pontchartrain. I don't know how to pronounce that. Right now, seeing a lot of linemen today. Yet to see much damage. Still on my way to the coast. Yeah. Yeah, they stage in certain areas back, and that's the contingency change after Katrina back in the day for infrastructure and logistics and stuff with disaster response and things like that. Like they stage in different sectors and kind of a concentric circle layout away out of the disaster area. So then you have people kind of backing each other up and all that. Observatory, aren't these times rife for lyrics, yet strangely few around? Honestly, I don't like a lot of politics in my music. That's just me. I'm not listening to music to listen about a bunch of political bullshit. That's just me. I don't like a lot of political music. There are certain times where I enjoy political music, whether it's listening to Rome or a certain song here and there per se, but otherwise, I don't want politics in my music. I want it to tell a story, something fantastical, or just be freaking brutal, just whatever. Like, I don't want me personally, I don't like politics in my music. Large Ogre, that's BS. Yes, it is. Joe Morgan, hey dude, good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well. I know you're going through it right now, and I'm wishing you all the best. The ducks are cool, by the way. Hope you're doing all right, man. Yeti's uncle. I personally think the entire system is compromised. I fear it's uncorrectable. Could be wrong. I don't think I am. It's going to take a long time to correct it. It can be corrected, but it's going to take a long time. Growing pains, just like anything. It will take time. More than just one administration, too. Now, one administration can do a lot of work to fix things, but it's going to take more than one. So. Tucked by V. Joe Morgan. Basically, the only thing holding something together is Carolee finally holding you together is Carol finally coming home. Well, that's good. I'm glad that she came home. That's good. That's good to hear. Glad she's doing okay too. Observing observatory. Agree with politics and lyrics. Take it as things aren't truly that bad yet. I mean, a lot of it's subjective, but that's just a personal preference thing with like not wanting politics in my music, System is failing Nevermore. Oh, good old Nevermore. A name I've not heard in a while. Nice choice. Ruben, how you doing, man? Thanks for tuning in. Who would win this battle? Red Green with 2 rolls of duct tape and half a K-car, or MacGyver with a penknife and a can of spray paint? Oh, man. I'm going to have to... Oh, man, I don't know. MacGyver has more combat experience. That's the only thing that would edge him out. Is he's got that fight experience. Red Green, not so much. But I love Red Green's ingenuity. You know, the that Canadian redneck ingenuity. If nobody's ever seen the Red Green Show, go watch it. It's been around for a while. I mean, they don't do the show anymore. He still does comedy tours, but if you've never seen the Red Green Show, go watch it. Classic Canadian comedy. It's good stuff. So I would say MacGyver would probably ultimately win, but Red Green, I mean, imagine them two as a duo taking on bad guys. That'd be fantastic. Observatory, right on. Yeah, you know. Wiretite, what did you think of the Sean Ryan, JD Vance interview? Yeah, and I had shared it in some of the Discords and stuff. There's some things I don't like about JD Vance, but he's a good candidate. He's well spoken. He's smart. Like he knows what he's talking. He understands what's going on. You know. So a lot of people like him, and I can see why. Again, he's just well spoken. He understands the situation, and I think it would be a good decision maker to. I mean, he's already been in offices making decisions and voting and and stuff. But if he were to get into the VP spot, I think it would be a good decision maker as VP. For most things. So again, some things here and there I don't agree with him on, but is still a better option than the other. So it was a good interview though. Joe Morgan, politics are what you do when you're senile and your pecker don't work. I think that's part of the problem with politics right now is you have a lot of old farts in there making poor decisions for the rest of the country. So not that they should have to make some of the decisions that they are for the country. Like some stuff, just leave it the fuck alone. Let's see. Yeti's uncle. Who would win a fight between God and Lemmy? That's a trick question because Lemmy is God. Yeah, exactly. Joe gets it. That's good. It's good. Oh yeah. Yep. Fire away with more questions. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. I need to get a new camera at some point. I'm just using an onboard camera here. I need to get a new camera at some point for a little bit better quality image because it's kind of color fluctuating on and off is being a little weird. It's like 720p too. Not great video quality. It's good enough. It's adequate, but it is what it is. 762 Bank. Thanks for tuning in. What do you think of the Edinburgh risk incident on Route Irish? What do you think could have been done differently? I'm very familiar with that incident. That happened back in oh god, what was it? That was early. That was pretty early. That was like 2004, 2005, something like that. It was pretty early on. I can't remember the exact year, but I went into PMC contracting in 2009, 2010. So it was a couple of years after when I went in, but it's been used as a learning tool ever since. Biggest problem, they were in thin-skin vehicles. That was the biggest issue. And what people don't understand with the context of the Edinburgh risk incident, it was those three vehicles, but they were part of another part of a column, and vehicles behind them had gotten stuck, so they were waiting for them. And then just so happens that a road running parallel, some dudes ran up in an SUV, and a couple of them deployed out, but then they linear ambush unloaded on the guys from the right. So basically the biggest issue was not up armored vehicles, and they stayed still for too long. That was really the only two things. All those guys are very well trained, so I mean, being ambushed at times is unavoidable. the enemy always has a say. And that was just one of those instances, unfortunately, that turned into a learning tool on a couple of nuances of what not to do. Mad respect for all those guys, though. James Yeager was part of that detail and things like that. And I've met other dudes from that team and stuff. And pretty big names in that industry, for a long time. And mad respect for all those guys. They got put into a really bad situation, and it unfolded as it unfolded. But there's always multiple factors involved apart from the enemy having a say. There's always other things involved with a lot of that footage and incidences that people don't understand or aren't told. So, but yeah, so that's about it. Joe Morgan, dude, rehab is full of a load of questions and feelings, is mind numbing and remedial. But yeah, a lot of redundancy there. Practical Rifleman, describe your ultimate combat rifle setup, including lights. I think I've pretty much got the ultimate combat rifle setup, actually, with what I have for a modernized combat rifle setup. My AR, my short stroke piston AR, my SR 5.56. So I've got the 5X fixed RCO on there. I've got a light on there with the light cap, 100 Concepts light cap, no pressure pad because it'll suck. Vertical foregrip, and then as needed, put if you need it, big if, a very very situation exigent, put a D-ball or whatever on there too. 16 inch or 18 inch barrel. That's about it. Like KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Like I'm very much about that. Offsets, personally, I don't use them. I don't think you need them. If you want to run offsets, run them. If you want to run a piggyback red dot on top of your RCO or whatever, run it. I don't care. I have it set up how I like it and how I want it. And that's just me. I keep it very simple. Then again, I was trained on a lot of adaptive techniques too, so I do things that a lot of people don't do or weren't taught. Nuance training things that come into perspective. I've done a video on canting the rifle using the fore end of barrel alignment as a reference angle to point shoot, not having to use any sights or dots or anything, none of that. There's also the cross focal technique for night vision. So for a monocular, have it on your left eye. You're looking through your reticle with light very small amount of illumination through your right eye, and you cross focus to get overlay between the two. That's an old technique, but it still works. So you're not awkwardly trying to have your nod behind your optic, and half the time optics aren't compatible with nods anyway. Especially with magnified optics. So you have to do a cross focal technique. That's something that's not taught anymore, really, besides in certain groups. But that was something we were taught back in the day. So just nuanced little things like that I could still utilize while keeping a fairly simple setup. I hate all the flashy stuff, like in large, like either fixed magnification optic or an LPVO. So something like your ACOG, your SLX, or an LPVO, and then a light when you need it, put it on your rifle. When you don't, have it off your rifle. No pressure pad. Backup irons, because those are obligatory, just in case your optic does go down. A vertical foregrip or a hand stop or something if you want that or whatever. And yeah, that's pretty much it. No QD mounts on the slings either. So none of that crap. Tuck by V came to this Q&A completely unprepared, and that's okay. We're just here to shoot the breeze. We're just here to have fun. I Q&A for about 2 hours, so we're already half an hour in. So I just shoot the breeze with people, talk about topics, answer questions, whatever. No, there's nothing really off the board. You can ask whatever. It doesn't have to be about firearms. It doesn't have to be about politics. Whatever, like, you want to talk about music, we'll talk about music. You want to talk about your favorite time of the year. We can talk about that. It doesn't matter. We're just here to enjoy it. So I just appreciate good conversation and good questions with people like that. So airtight, should I put a 20-inch barrel on my rifle? Hey, I mean, if you want to get max spice out of your rounds, you do you, man. 16 inch is good. You're getting to the better bracket of performance with 5.56 and things like that of the round. So 16 inches good, 18 inches good, 20 inches good. Go for it. I mean, whatever you want to do, man. I'm not your dad. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but that's up to you, man. Flip a coin if you gotta. Roll a d20. Practical Rifleman, you met James, stayed at his house for a week. Yeah. Tactical Response is a good training group. I mean, they're still doing good things, even though he's gone now. Rest in peace. But yeah, his high risk is what is it? Yeah, it's like high risk operator course or whatever. One of the preparatory courses that you can take if you were to go into like PMC contracting or whatever. It's a good course. They've got a number of good courses. So yeah, good group of people over there. 762 Bank. I heard it was her getting back into checkpoints back then for PMCs. I mean, not really. If the communication, generally the communication between contractors and the military was pretty good and is pretty good. It's just sometimes you've got the civilian factor, at TC, you've got the civilian factor involved. You've got civilian traffic, especially in those parts. The freaking Route Irish and in the Greenbelt around Biap and everything. That's a heavily congested area. It's a very busy area. So you have to deal with all of that apart from if a traffic accident happens or whatever's going on, and then the enemy factor on top of that. So there's always multiple things you have to manage and mitigate, try to mitigate and just deal with as it comes kind of thing. You have to be pretty adaptive on your feet. Observing Observatory, have drones solved the sniper issue? No, not really. I mean, they're an asset to both sides of that coin. They haven't solved that issue though. Yeah, it's just an asset, a gift, and a curse. Either way, Ogre, later, hockey time. All right, have a good one, man. Take it easy. Dead Prepper, yo, DJ, how you doing, brother? Hey, how you doing, man? Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. I'm doing good. Wire tight. Yep, there's flooding here. Yep, I figured. You're going to be busy, man. Let's see. Practical Rifleman, I never got a chance to edit it. Have some footage for barrel length. There you go. Again, depends platform, depends the caliber, a number of other things, the round load, because a federal load is going to be different from a Black Hills load, and different from a Fiocchi load, you know what I mean. So you just have to have, when it comes to like a combat rifle or a standard kind of general purpose, rifle like that, you just need to understand, depending on the type of barrel you have and things like that, what rounds are going to perform well enough, minute of man, when you want to get into the weeds about it, especially with precision shooting and things like that, get into the weeds about it, and I know Practical Rifleman has some excellent videos on that stuff. So go check out his videos on precision shooting and reloading and things like that. 762 Bank, what are the next 5 years of contracting looking like in general? I mean, it's still pretty big money. Certain contracts have been drawn back. Iraq has been drawn back, and some other places. I mean, there's still presence there, but it's not like it was. There's a lot of contracting going on in Europe. There's some in Ukraine. There's some other places too. I know there's a pipeline for contracts into Myanmar, but that's a lot riskier, and some of that's a little wishy-washy. Plenty of contracts around Africa and other places though too. So I mean, the money's there, the work is there to a certain degree. Again, it depends on what you specialize in. They're looking for HVAC people just as much as they're looking for guys that can do the armed work. Like I do. So it just depends. There's a lot of promise, but it depends on how much the military logistics chain is ramping up, or new projects, new developments, new contract agreements and acquisitions, the OAG stuff, like all that. Like there's a lot of variables that play into the security sector and just form and function of the industry, how it is, and who's providing what services, who's building what, who's making parts for this, who's providing manpower here. It's all over the board, and there's thousands of companies out there, doing all that stuff. So there's plenty of work to go around regardless. Big Socket, thanks for tuning in. Goth girls don't prep, but juglets do. I'm not sure what you mean there, but I like goth girls. Big Socket, if they're not calling you, then you're not a contractor. Not sure what you mean by that either. Might try and articulate that. Try and articulate a little bit better. Tucked by V, my need is minute of front door. 762 Bank. Have you ever worked with the British Army? I have. Yeah, we trained with them. Trained with them under the coalition training program in the beginning of 2008. That was really cool. Spent about 2 weeks training with them. We had a British 5 Commando, and I can't remember which detachment of Royal Marines, but we had a detachment of them come over to Fort Benning and train there, and then we went and trained with them for 2 weeks in England. That was really cool. And then on the contractor side, I've worked with a bunch of like ex-paras and ex-British military guys and stuff too. The consummate professionals. They're good war fighters, and it a lot of fun training with them too. So not easy training. So good dudes, good dudes. Dev Prepper, if you had to pick AK or SKS, I'd probably choose SKS. Let's move parts, more reliable, doesn't require mags. Yeah, I'd probably go AK. Just because I know the platform really well. I've shot SKSs before and everything, but round capacity, round carriage, having the AK magazines is actually a bonus. Takes you a little bit longer to load an SKS. SKS ends up being a little bit heavier too. Not that that matters for most people that actually like do things and aren't, weak asses complaining about weapon weight. But yeah, no, I would pick AK actually. SKS is a good rifle though. It is reliable, that's for sure. 762 Bank. Yeah, it was cool. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed training with them. Still got some friends over there, so good dudes. Yeah, I did shoot the SA-80 and the GPMG. I did, yeah. SA-80 was, kind of cool concept, but the rifle itself is a piece of junk. So, GPMG was cool. That was cool. That worked fine. It was a good weapon platform. So, bell feds. I still like the PKM more, but GPMG was cool. And MG3, I like the MG3 more too. But GPMG was cool. Yeah, it's a junk. The SA-80 is a junk rifle, but it's a cool concept. But it's pretty heavy for a bullpup, and yeah, it just does not work well. Yeah, keep firing away with questions. Some good questions and topics to talk about. And Big Saw Cat, if you're contracted for work, you're contracted for work. It's I don't know if you were referring to the recruitment portion of getting onto a gig or whatnot there. I don't know. You got to articulate that better, though. I don't. Just thinking about that a little bit. I'm not sure what you mean because that's, yeah. I don't think you know how that works. Watertight getting my first belt fed action something because this freaking stupid little icon for the live reactions is in the way. Belt fed action something a couple of weeks at OFasts. I don't know what OFasts is. Is that something down local to your area? Belt feds are cool though. I mean, apart from whatever event that is, you got like, Big Sandy Shoot. You can go to Drive Tanks or you can go to Belt Feds, beltfeds.com, the Belt Feds organization out in, I think it's Pennsylvania. You got Battlefield Vegas and a number of other places where you can go shoot belt fed weapons. If you don't have a buddy that's an SOT and stuff and can get that stuff, or work in a job where you can play with that kind of stuff. So that's cool. Sounds like it's going to be a good time though, whatever that is. 762 Bank. Thoughts on the ambush on Blackwater PMCs and the change in attitude of the contractors after that in terms of you do this to us, we do this to you. I'm not sure which one you mean. I mean, there's been a lot of ambushes in the past on contractors, so I'm not sure which event you mean because there's been many. If you're referring to like Nisor Square incident, go watch the Sean Ryan podcast talk with the Raven 2-3 team. They lay everything out, all the information out. They got thrown under the bus. It was a political railroading of not just that company, but all the entire industry. But it was just an absolute dog water situation. So change of attitude. I mean, it wasn't really a change of attitude. The only thing that changed was the overbearing of more policy and things like that made it harder to do their jobs, just like the military and everybody else. So that's really all that came out of it. A little bit more regulation and bidding and contract awarding too, as well as pay systems and things like that. A lot of nuanced stuff though. I mean, eye for an eye, right? It's just how it is in war. You have any experience with the Army's new battle rifle? No, not really. Not a fan of the new SIG rifles, though. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous that they're moving to that. I've talked about that before, moving to that 68x51 cartridge. No, just make 7.62x51 NATO a little bit better for your needs. We already run that platform. And standard 277 Fury rounds, not the high pressure hybrid cartridge combat rounds. Standard 277 Fury performs worse than 308. So why would you change from that? Just develop a hybrid cartridge 7.62x51 NATO. All you got to do then is change out barrels with some with a thicker chamber wall and stuff. Bada boom. You're going to save a buttload of money. The whole new NGSW program is stupid. So the dragging, the 2005. I still don't know what one you're talking about. There's been a lot of incidents that have happened in that period of time. So I mean, I'm not sure which one you mean, man. 762 Bank. Wire type, boob guy or ass guy? Both guy. I want the whole cake and eat it too, right? Drink to that, right? Doesn't matter if you're dealing with A cups. It's how you treat them. 762 Bank, have you played Full Spectrum Warrior? I don't know what that is. I haven't touched a video game in almost 10 years. So no, I don't. No idea. Radical Rifleman, Carpenter's Dream. I'm not sure what you mean there. Carpenter's Dream. No, no. Radical Rifleman, easy to name. That's funny. That's funny. Substitute bank. You ever look into maritime contracting? Yes. So there's a couple more nuances to the maritime sector. First of all, experience. They want dudes that have VBSS training, a background in Marine Corps, Navy, Coast Guard, something like that, or other maritime units. Also, you need to get the TWC, your transit worker credentials, the same stuff you need to get to be like a merchant marine and things like that, and to work in the maritime sector. So you need those additional licenses and credentials and stuff. So there's a little bit more to it. I mean, you could get into it, but again, having a background goes a long way in the sector and getting a job doing that. They're not going to hire a guy who has no experience on boats to do that. So that's always going to be first and foremost. Debt prepper, camel toe guy. I mean, I don't know. No opinion on that one. I mean, whatever. Chicks just wear tighter pants than we do, so sure. As long as it's not a moose knuckle, I guess. Substitute bank, M16A4 or M4? M16A4. I will go with the M16A4. That was my first rifle in the Army, and I had a M203 on it as well. Loved that thing. That thing was awesome. It was dead nuts reliable. The M4 I had was not. The M16A4 for sure. Keep them coming. Fire away. Substitute bank, what camo was I issued in the Army? So we were right in that transitional period. So we started training, started infantry OSIT with M81 OG Woodland BDUs. And then graduated right at quartermaster refit in OSIT. We started getting ACUs in the UCP camouflage. And we were kind of like, what the hell is this? But then you didn't have to starch the uniforms. You didn't have to polish boots or anything like that. So that was a big win. But the camo pattern itself was dog shit. And the uniform quality themselves weren't great either. A lot of dudes were blowing out the ass seam and everything in the crotch and everything on the trousers and all that. And then just the angle of the pockets initially too on the chest for some guys were just at the wrong position where the fold over Velcro of that portion was right on the nipples and would rub and chafe them raw. I like the pocket configuration of the ACUs, but they just weren't as well made. The BDUs that we had were a lot better made. So I was in that period where we were using ACU uniforms. Like at my unit, we were using ACUs, but it was still kind of a mishmash of like DCU or M81 IBAs and other components. Just it was a mix up. And then after a while, about 2008, 2007, 2008, right over, I was getting out. I got out in 2008. So right around in that time period, right around when I was getting out, it was starting to streamline more, where everything was universalized to the UCP for the whole shtick. It was still So much more of an M81 Woodland fan over UCP. So that there's very few applications for UCP camouflage. Matthew Bartholomew, hey, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. Bow hunting or rifle hunting? Both. I like traditional bow though. I don't like compound bow. Traditional bow. I'm a bit of a purist when it comes to my traditional things, as you can see by the giant spear behind me here. I would do traditional bow, but I do rifle hunting too, so both. I like rifle. Subsistence Bank, what's your experience with driving courses during your contracting tenure? I've heard they're really fun. They are fun. So it's all during your initial training, when you're kind of going into that. You run some courses, you run how to drive your patterns, your staging, pacing, all that. You do driver down drills, you do blindfold drills, where you're blindfolded and then they take it off and you have to react quickly, kind of thing. You've got again, driver down stuff you have to deal with if the driver gets hit and he goes down, and then you take over the wheel and get control of the vehicle. Like all that stuff. You learn how to do, whip arounds and advanced Y turns and J turns and all that, like all that stuff. Like, yeah, it's fun. That driving training is fun. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is there's actually a cutoff with your fuel supply in your vehicle. Where if you do like your rapid whip around J turns and things like that, and it's the same if it were to happen in a rollover of a vehicle. There's a cutoff, so you actually have to in your personal vehicle, you would have to disable that fuel cutoff in order to keep fuel going when you're doing those kind of rapid motions, because otherwise you can trip that sensor and it'll just shut your vehicle off. So you have to end up modifying your vehicle basically. A lot of the time that sensor access is like in the glove compartment, like behind the glove compartment of your vehicle or somewhere in there, or another spot, sometimes under the steering wheel console area in the driver's compartment. Somewhere in there is usually the cutoff, that sensor cutoff for your fuel tank. But yeah, a lot of fun. Good training, just good experiences, good training. We had really good instructors. Let's see, Substitute Bank used to be black glove combo. I just hate UCP. I have a couple of UCP things just because like they're my old uniforms and like just keep them for sentimentality's sake and like shadow box and all that stuff. But like there is, even during winter, there is no reason really for me to use it in my area. If you're up in the high mountains, like getting past any tree cover level in the mountains, with a lot of snow, like then it makes sense because you've got that snow and rock combination. It kind of works there along with like gravel quarries. It's the only two places besides grandma's couch that it actually freaking works. But yeah. Substitute Bank, did you have a pro driver in the car with you? No, just an instructor. So I mean, those instructors have a lot of training. No, we're not driving with like a F1 driver or any. No, we're not doing any of that. No, we have a tactical driving instructor with us. And then after a while, you're just with your team of people, you're running drills and they're doing their assessments from the sidelines. A lot of people don't realize that contractor training in general, pretty much every day is a pass-fail. Most people get through it okay, but I mean, if you have like a serious safety violation, you may get one remedial thing, if you just can't pass shooting quals or anything like that. Like if you can't do any of that, you're done. You're gone. That's just how it is. So, but you're constantly being assessed in any of your training. Fire any cool weapons while driving at the same time. So the driver is to drive. Now, if the driver has to stop to provide fire support, then you stop, draw, do your thing, and then drive again. My position, what we call a trunk monkey. So I was in the back most of the time, kind of facing out the back. If it wasn't like a Bearcat or some kind of vehicle where I was up in a turret, and we would switch it around with some of the guys, but I would be in the back looking at in the back of the vehicle, looking out the back, like out of Suburbans and Land Cruisers and stuff. So I would be back there with my rifle and everything. We all had pistols and stuff, my rifle, and then a belt-fed support weapon. So SAW, 240 Bravo, PKM. Had an RPK a couple of times, but usually is like one of those other ones. So they're driving, doing their thing. You got driver. Usually the team leader is in the passenger seat, and then behind them is what we call the window lickers. Those are the guys looking out the sides. Those guys, and then sometimes are if it's a PSD, a protective security detail, or we're doing protective security detail counter ambush stuff, CAT stuff. We would sometimes we would have a diplomatic security service, a DSS agent in the vehicle as well, coordinating communications with the team leader and things like that. And then you got the window lickers, and then you got either the turret guy or the trunk monkey. So, and that's where I was a lot of the time on the ERTs for that kind of configuration. So. Got to fire all kinds of cool stuff, and you have to requalify periodically on all those platforms too. So I mean, it's depending on the contract you're on and all that stuff. You have a hybrid of qualifications that you have to continually pass. Whenever the requalification cycle comes around. So, Practical Rifleman, gotta go, dudes. Hey, take care, man. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you, brother. Take care, and cheers. So, but yeah, so we got to qualify on Maudus 50 cal, Mark 19, the various belt-fed crew serve weapons, service rifles, so like M4, AK, and then shotguns, usually 870, sometimes Benelli M4, and then pistol. Most of the time is Glock. Sometimes it would be a Beretta, or sometimes it's an M&P. Depends on the contract. It depends on what's available to you. So we just have to do those qualifications on U.S. service platforms, and then some of the ComBlock weapon platforms. So, and then a couple of others in the mix, but a lot of time you don't have to like qualify on those, like a G3, or like a PTR 91, same thing. You don't have to qualify on that per se, but you get some time using it for weapons familiarization and things like that. So it just depends. Any other questions? Fire away. We're already almost an hour in. That's awesome. Let's go by quick. You guys are bringing up some good topics and asking some really good questions, so appreciate it. Ooh, my camera qualities. It's really like kind of red and dark right now. I'm not that red in the face right now. Jesus. I only had one beer. Substitute Bank, did you ever have to ditch your primary to preserve life? I'm not sure what you mean. Overseas contracts, I never had to draw my pistol on anyone. Executive protection and domestic contracts, I have had to. And then international executive protection, I've had to do that before. Battlefield pickup, no. Sometimes I was issued out an M4. Sometimes I was issued out an AK. It just depends. So, but you had to be familiar and qualified on both. Never had to do a battlefield pickup. No. That happened a little bit earlier on in instances like Fallujah and stuff, but not really otherwise. No. Thankfully, we have really good armorers, and we just took care of our stuff. AK ran phenomenally over there. I had a lot more problems with my M4, both in the military when we switched and I got issued an M4 after they took my M16A4, and then contracting, M4 typically had some more issues in the sand and the moon dust and everything. So, you ever run into any guys from Aegis? Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 We worked alongside them occasionally, and you get a lot of what we call shirt changes or badge changes. So guys hop company to company. It's security industry in large as a whole, whether it's domestic or global, whatever. There's a pretty high turnover rate. It's a very revolving door. So you'll get guys from Aegis that come over to Triple Canopy, which was a thing. But yeah, no, we interacted with the Aegis guys. They were great. They were good guys. Yep. 762 Bank. Yeah, you ever ride around in the special armored cars? Yeah. With up armored vehicles. I mean, like stuff like Land Cruisers, Hiluxes, all that. It's all very common vehicles over there. There's a lot of people and families over there that have a lot of money. But all the older like Mercedes Benz sedans and stuff rolling around, old Toyota Corollas, like all that stuff. Yeah, it's all around. Whatever the company decided to acquire an up armor or that they didn't import as an up armored model. I mean, like the Suburbans and stuff, because that was definitely imported by the companies and stuff. Yeah, it was just whatever. And then you up armor it. Good armor packages. And I mean, yeah, obviously a column of, 3 to 5 black Suburbans or white Land Cruisers or whatever, that's people are going to know that, those people are together kind of, a lot of that's very overt anyway. So when you're doing that kind of thing, when you're not doing the surveillance and advanced work side of it, it's very overt, there's not really hiding it all that much. Even with a standard civilian looking vehicle, just because of the tactics, methods, patterns, things like that. Executive protection is a little bit different. But with that kind of contract stuff, yeah, no, it's pretty obvious. But yeah, no, they're cool. Good vehicles, Toyotas, the Toyotas are some of the most reliable vehicles on the planet. I own one for a good reason, and that's a good reason why they're used a lot in places all over the world. So, Matthew Bartholomew, do you think U.S. troops will be fighting in Europe in the near future? Man, that's a good question, and I don't know. There's a lot of factors involved with U.S. military, let alone NATO, getting involved in anything. Is there an escalation going on right now? Yes, there is. There's an ongoing escalation. Is there a potential, just statistical potential, of U.S. troops being involved in Europe in the future, apart from what we're already doing with joint training and things like that? Yeah, there's always that statistical, however small or large percentage, that U.S. troops could get involved in Europe, among other places. The Middle East is heating up again right now too, so we may start seeing some activity there. We still got to look at China, and obviously we're involved in operations and in locations all over the globe. We got Camp Leslie. We're involved in operations and in locations all over the globe. We got Camp Lemonnier in Africa, Djibouti. That's the major U.S. military base in Africa, but there's some others in Africa as well. We're all over the place. So escalation, it just depends on the continuing systemics of problems and failures in diplomacy and otherwise that would drive it towards more of a presence with show of force, to the extent that it becomes a direct action. There's always that potentiality. So 762 Bank, what was the weather like during your time there? Hot. It was hot. Didn't matter if it was their winter season or their summer season. It was just hot. It sucked. Central South America wasn't much better. Super humid. It's hot there too. When you're around the equator, it's hot. Dry heat is better than humid heat, but even then, it's still you're just miserably hot. It's just that hot. It's just miserable all the time. So you just have to hydrate all the time, and just do things to mitigate getting heat stroke. Lucky for us, on the contract side, vehicles have AC. Humvees do not have AC. The new JLTVs and METVs and stuff have AC. Old Humvees, when I was in the Army, did not have AC, so they're even worse off. Oh. just hot, dude. Um, what was your free time like while you were PSD? So I did a lot more ERT, so emergency response team. So we would do CAT, counter ambush team. We were QRF, quick response force. Not just for our guys in our company, other companies and the military. Did a number of other things, vehicle recoveries, personnel extraction recoveries, capabilities to do hostage rescue if needed. A number of things, so to include PSDs, protective security details. So it just depends on what the tasking was for the day or whatever. Normal rotation is usually like 2 to 3 days on and then 1 day off, and those days on is anywhere from a 12 to 16 hour day, typically. If you were like in a dire situation and having to do an operation to reinforce a hard pointed site because they're under siege, you're going to be up for a lot longer. But so when you're on the off rotation, so after those, couple of days on that off rotation, you can do whatever you want. You can lounge around and all that. A lot of the time, you're working out. You're catching up on rest. You're checking emails when you can and like all that stuff, making sure everything's still good to go. You go do shopping that you need to, whether it's in a local market or at the PX in the green zone or whatever. Just things like that. And it's usually like 1 to 2 days off, and then you're back in the cycle again. It's a little loosey goosey. It can be a little loosey goosey at times. Sometimes you can go a day longer for a work cycle or a day shorter. It just depends. Depends on how much is or isn't going on, what kind of taskings are and aren't coming in. And then you have periodic physical fitness evaluations. Those are usually every couple of months, and it's same with the weapons requalifications is every couple of months, usually every 3 months or so, 3 to 4 months. So did you ever hang out with the Ugandan gate guards at the U.S. checkpoints? So we didn't have Ugandan gate guards at the time, and where I was, we didn't have Ugandans. We had because I know there was a lot of like UN guys apart from various companies that hired various expats from various places, but no, we didn't. We didn't deal with them. So I never interacted with them. No. Prepared Citizens, what's up, dude? Hey, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. Fire away with any questions in the chat. Slow mode is on just to keep track of it and to keep spammers away, spam and bots. Tornado Survival, hey, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're doing all right. Congrats on the cabin. No, Tornado Survival. Those that don't know him, Justin's a really good dude. And he's building a cabin right now and got some land and stuff. So he's starting his homestead. So everyone go check him out. Prepared Citizens. He does cool medical stuff. Go check him out. So says, do bank any ways to keep up with physicality as contractor? What physical activities did it consist of? Yeah, I mean, well, we have a gym. We have gyms accessible to us. Standard physical fitness test, really. You've got push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, and a run. A lot of the additional like conditioning that we would do is a lot of weight conditioning. I mean, you've got a lot of equipment that you have to deal with. You're lifting a lot of stuff. You have to be able to lift another person if need be, for a casualty, things like that. So a lot of deadlifting, a lot of squats, dead carries. Dead carries is a big one for me. apart from doing interval sprints and some rucking on the treadmill or whatever, some running, push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups. It's pretty straightforward. Nothing too hard about it. Tornado survival, thanks. Yeah, of course, dude. Matthew Bartholomew, message retracted. Fire away again with whatever you had to say, I guess. What tornado survival? What you think is going to happen with the election? Scary man. So I did answer that question earlier. It's a toss up, man. I don't really know. It's a monitor things and just kind of figure it out as it comes. I really don't like to speculate too much. 762 Bank. Did you have to take a BMI test? No BMI test. No, you just have to be fit. You have to meet those testing testing scores criteria. They don't really give you a clear answer to what the test scores are, but I mean, after a while, you can just kind of figure it out. You have to run, this much. It's a 1.5 mile run. It's nothing crazy. Just things like that. Like you have to be able to do at least, 40 push-ups, 40 sit-ups, things like that. Like typically you want to go kind of above and beyond, but you should always kind of be pushing that. But it is what it is. We had we had older guys on the teams. The one team I was on, we had some of our canine guys were former Rhodesians and former South African Defense Force guys. So they've been around a while, and these guys were getting into their 50s, and they're some of the best canine handlers I've ever worked with. So, it goes a lot, it says a lot about what kind of guys they are, but also just how well trained they are, Matthew Bartholomew, what level of psychological operations training do you have? Was there any used in Minneapolis or in the riots? I wasn't in Minneapolis, so I don't know. Psychological operations. I mean, not really all that, not that much there. I didn't do psyops in the army or anything. I have some developed intelligence background just from working for a private detective and a private investigator and doing geopolitical and threat assessment, intelligence type work, apart from the out in the field type stuff, surveillance area study and things like that. When it comes to psychological operations and some of the signals intelligence stuff, that's not really my forte. So not much. I understand how some of that works and things like that, obviously, but I don't do much with that. So, and as far as like if there was any used during the riots and stuff, I mean, you look at what these organizations were doing, the rhetoric they were spreading, and who was supporting them financially and things like that. You can always follow a money trail. That's easy enough to do, and you figure out what's going on with that. Outside of that, I don't know. It was just a mess that was not handled well by anyone. So 762 Bank, British Army, they send you home if you are 0.1 over on the BMI. That's ridiculous. So if you're just like a freaking stacked dude, they're going to send you home because you're a freaking brick shit house. That's ridiculous. 762 Bank, have you seen a video of that KBR Halliburton driver that got stuck? Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen all that footage, all those videos. Victoria's dead. Hey, dude, how you doing? BMI isn't even real, dude. I know, right? This is ridiculous. Yeah, yeah. It's a heavy meal. Fucking A, dude. Like, ooh, I'm drinking a really nice Tripel. Is that going to put me over the BMI? Go fuck yourself. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. 220 calories in one Tripel. Cool. I don't care. Hit the gym hard, still like food and beer. Exactly. Like, dude, Americans act like it. Eat right, eat hearty, do your thing. San Francisco Bank. What was the food like out there? Oh, it was great. Food was great. A lot of contracted cooks that came in were from like the Philippines and stuff, and some other El Salvador and some other places, apart from like Americans and other people. Dude, fucking excellent cooks. And local food. I like some of the local food. I mean, saffron rice, amazing. They had this like sauce with goat that they would make. That was really good. I liked. Roast chicken is a big thing in Iraq. Roast chicken is always good. I tried to stay away from the fish. Fresh caught fish out of the Tigris or Euphrates. I wouldn't necessarily trust it because those are pretty polluted bodies of water. But the saltwater fish that would come in off the coast from like Kuwait and stuff was good. Food was great, and then you know there were contracted restaurants. I mean, you had your pick of the litter. Always a lot of options to pick from, like in the PX and stuff too, and everything, and the local market and everything. Like always stocked up on like tuna packs and things like that too. Food was great. I think it's to make it fair for when having to lift people. I mean, yeah, but at the same time, like you should be doing some strength training in order to be able to, even after you strip the kid off of somebody, if they still weigh, 220 pounds, you might still have to carry them a short distance to get them into a vehicle for Casevac or whatever, So the BMI thing, it's kind of a cop out. Now, when it comes to the European forces, a lot of the European guys, say for like some of the Swedes and some of those guys, I mean, they're a little bit skinnier anyway. I think it's a European diet thing too. So, Victoria's Day, going bird hunting up north here soon. Looking for colder nights, dude. We're at up north. I'm up north. Yeah, the bird hunting, dude. Yeah, we got turkey season starts this weekend. And waterfowl, I think, starts too, or like right around then. So something like that. Kebabs, yes, kebabs are fantastic as well. Love kebab. Love my shawarma. All that is all good. Get bigger. I mean, and I'm not even that big of a guy. I'm completely average height all the way around. I'm 5'8", 180 pounds, 175, 180 pounds. Depends on if I have a real big meal or not, or if I've got some GI stuff going on. Yeah, not that big a dude. Pretty average. We had some guys 6'3", 250, 265, big strong motherfuckers, and some dudes do take steroids. I don't, but it just is what it is. So then you got to deal with if God forbid something happens to him, heaven forbid, if something happens to anyone on the team, you're gonna have to deal with it. So everyone's got to work together there. So yeah, you do have to work out and train. It is obligatory. It is a requirement on jobs overseas like that. Ever been to Little Bird? Oh yeah, many times. Love those things. The pilots are amazing. Crazy, but they're amazing. I love them. Little birds are cool. You ever get a chance to go like hog hunting in Texas or anything like that? Like, because there's some little birds floating around, apart from like some other small helicopters that are kind of near the same model and stuff. Like, you ever get the option to do that? Go do it. Like, it's a good time. A, hog hunting is fun anyway. B, just cool being up in a little helicopter that just is a zoomy motherfucker. So it's a good time. So emergency response team stuff, yeah, we would use them for rapid response, and all that. Ever shot a 249 or mini me? Same thing, really. Or like a Mark 48. Out of a Little Bird, I have. That was for training though. But that was cool. That was cool. It was a good time. It was a lot of fun. So a lot of the time, you'll have at least one designated gunner in those helicopters. That's part of the ERT, but he's the helicopter. He's part of the helicopter crew. So, and then apart from the ERT team that load into the helicopter to go respond, do our thing. So this is good training though. It's a lot of fun. So. Shooting back behind a helicopter, like kind of when you're sweeping and shooting back behind the helicopter as you're flying away from the target or coming to circle back around or whatever, like that's actually a lot harder than it is to get a lead on a target or a moving vehicle while you're moving as well. I don't know, for some reason that's a lot easier for me to do than try and get something back and behind, like back and down while you're moving away. Like that was a difficult part of that shooting. Well, I mean that belt-fed systems are area fire weapons anyway, and they're not precision platforms. So, still fairly controllable, whether you're on like a pintle mount or whatever kind of mount, like in a helicopter, or you've got like the cordage mount or a strap mount, cradle that you've got, a strap cradle that you got it in for mount. Like either way, it's pretty stable, so that's not really an issue. It's just understanding how to either lead or get a set point to direct fire onto while that target's moving into it, or just getting dialed into a target area while you're moving. It takes a lot of adjustment on the fly, but you catch on pretty quick after a while. So that's a good time. I agree. They should be saved in a time capsule. Solid dudes. And a lot of those videos, they came out early on when I was still in the army, because again, I didn't get out till 08. So a lot of that was early footage. I mean, you had some stuff after and everything, but not nearly as much as the little bit of footage that was out there of those things going on earlier on. And I mean, those guys, a lot of peers, a lot of those guys that were on those teams, by the time I got into the game a couple of years later, they were team leaders, or they were, working in upper positions or managers or whatever. Like, so a lot of good experience from those guys. Aside from the guys that got out of the game or, changed shirts and went somewhere else or did whatever, because for a lot of guys, it was a couple at that time earlier on. It was, you do a couple of rotations, you do a couple of deployments, and then you're out because you've made your money. It's not as much like that now. There's still good money to be made, obviously, but you get taxed the hell out of it now too. If you're going to take a contract in Iraq now, Iraq charges you 13% foreign worker tax. Okay. On top of the amount that gets put on your tax returns anyway. It's up to a certain amount for foreign earned income tax for US citizens, but anything past that you're getting taxed on, but you have other taxes that you have to pay too. People don't realize that. So earlier on, it was much less controlled. And there was a lot more money being thrown around. Pay nowadays, depending on the position that you're in and the contract that you're working and everything, if you're a static or mobile guard kind of guy, you can look at anywhere between 350 to 350 to 550 a day, close to that. It depends on the company and again what contract you're on and everything. If you're doing ERT or PSDs and things like that, you make a little bit more, somewhere between a 450 to 750 a day kind of thing. And it can fluctuate. Again, it fluctuates. And then your OGA contracts, so like your GRS guys, your tier 1 guys that are doing direct contracts to the State Department and things like that, they're making big money. That's kind of how it is nowadays, again, very different back then. So And again, it's rotational. You could take on a contract and it could be rotational for a year. It could be 3 years. It could be 6 months, or 8 months, because it's usually a 3 month on, 1 month off kind of rotation. So it just depends on the contract that you sign on too. So some are much more short term, that you have option to sign with, and some are longer term. You know, it's really elective on you and what's the company is offering, what the contract is offering, and then what that pay schedule looks like and everything. So, 762 Bank, were you a Hawaiian shirt wearing guy or a polo and shades? So for CONUS outside the continental United States, like PMC contracting and stuff, it's very there's to an extent there's a dress code, especially if you're on the job. It's going to be polos, shades, and like 511 tech pants or whatever. ERT team guys like myself, we would wear fireproof flight suits or like fireproof coverall suits. For a time, that's what we were wearing. And then plate carrier and all that stuff, or slick vest with chest rig over it. One of those combinations. Executive protection depends the gig and depends the meetings and things like that, kind of what the client is expecting, apart from what you recommend for the environment and the situation and everything. In places like Mexico or Colombia, typically I try to have us dress a little bit more like tourists the majority of the time. Now, if they need to be dressed up for a corporate meeting down, they're meeting with their people at their venue at the site with corporate people down wherever that is. If you need to do the suit tie thing, okay, I get it. We're going to adapt and we can make that work. A lot of the time, though, I want to keep a more low profile presence when it comes to executive protection. It's just you stand out in a suit and tie in a lot of those places unless you're in a business district. So, get the dirty 94 Ford Ranger and drive around in that. Get the dirty Corolla and ride around in that. Don't be trying to get the flashy Mercedes Benz. You're just painting a target for a bullseye on yourself. And it's the same with dress. That's different though from direct government contract, private military, private security contracting. So very different ball game. Unsafe decibel level. Thanks for tuning in. Sounds like you missed some good topics. I mean, we're kind of all over the board here. So been some really good questions and topics thrown out there. So going to have to watch from the beginning afterwards. Yeah, please, by all means, rewatch. Fire away with any questions you got. Substitute Bank, were you allowed to personalize your M4, spray paint, self-auto attachments, or is it just a stock? No. What you're issued is what you're issued mostly. And they want you to keep it that way. Certain attachments you could get approval to put on there, like if you wanted to use a certain kind of optic and stuff, but I mean, you would have to get it approved. Same with certain components of your equipment and stuff. Like if you wanted an additional like GP pouch on your plate carrier, you got to get approval for that. Otherwise, what you're given is what you're given. So, and you got to adapt and work with what you got. So, other things like backpacks and bags and stuff. Now, I mean, you can pretty much buy whatever you want, and things like that. Boots were mostly okay to get whatever you want, and you got a partial stipend to help cover the cost of boots. They just wanted to make sure that it was kind of in line with what they wanted. So black or tan boots, and it's got to be, mostly AR 670 compliant in that regard, mostly. But I mean, you can kind of go with whatever. I usually ran the Belleville, and I still have a pair of them that I wear. The Belleville or Tactical Research. It's part of Belleville. Their Kyber, KHYBER boot. Fantastic boot. Extremely comfortable. Nice aggressive tread. Really comfortable to wear. They're pretty light. So you can run easily in them. Good ankle support. They're one of my favorite boots for out in that kind of job. Matthew Bartholomew, what was it like working with former SF guys while contracting? It was awesome. Most of them consummate professionals, man. I mean, you learn a lot. one of my cousins is former fifth group, and funny because when I was in the army, he was in the army at the same time, and we crossed paths at the same JSS and everything. So that was really cool. He was fifth group, so that was really cool. So I've kind of been around it for I had been around it for a little bit anyway already at that point. But just working with those guys that were working in those details that weren't doing OGA stuff or whatever. Like no, they were awesome. You learn a good bit from those guys. It's very much a give and take with working with the team and your peers and everything, and just what everyone has in a diversified nature that they bring to the table. You know, because some guys are really good on working on vehicles, even not being the wrench monkeys and mechanics. They're good with vehicles. You got these couple of guys that help with the tactical medics because they're good with medical. You've got like it just works really well because everybody kind of needs to bring a couple of things to the table, because you do have to be pretty diversified in your skill set and just kind of your knowledge and understanding and stuff. No, it was good though. It was good. I have no real complaints with any of the teams that I was on or any of the people that I worked with. Really, every once in a while you get a guy that's an oddball or whatever, or you have a guy that has some more problems than were realized at first. But a lot of the time they don't stay in theater very long. So. Some good questions, y'all. Time is flying by. It's already been an hour and a half. God damn. I got about 30 minutes left in my live stream here. Been very on topic about certain things this time around, but that's okay. Like I said, floor's pretty much open for about anything, talk about anything, so. This is good beer. This is good beer. 762 Bank, what was the worst thing you saw environment-wise? Poverty, etc. Yeah, I mean, a lot of that. Enemy insurgents, like in Iraq and stuff, they're really good about snatching up their dead after they got it. It was a different environment, like in the battle with Daesh with ISIS and stuff. Like that was a whole different shit show. But like, for some reason, if an insurgent was engaged, we got ambushed, insurgents were engaged, a couple were killed. Like they would usually scoop them up right away because it's Muslim practice to bury the dead within like 24 hours of dying. Like it's like 24 or 48 hours, somewhere in there. But I mean, you see that kind of death, but also the poverty too. Honestly, it was from the army too. The biggest thing that bothered me was there was a lot of stray dogs, a lot of stray animals, notably dogs. And in the Muslim world, they don't treat dogs very nicely, and I don't like that. Iraqi National Police rolling around at night shooting stray dogs, that was extremely disturbing to me. I did not enjoy that. While some of those guys were good, they were great. Some of them were great dudes and stuff. Like that just never sat or sits well with me. And it was the same with certain places like Mexico and Colombia and stuff too. Because I mean, you have a lot of impoverished areas in Central South America too. And a lot of stray dogs running around and stuff. But yeah, just in those regards, just abject poverty and poor sanitation and all that stuff, and a lot of diseases that we cured, that we have treatments for, from 70 years ago that these people still get because it's hard to access quality medical care and there's just poor living conditions and just all that. So yeah, number of things like that. Message retracted. Whatever you had said. Fire away with something else. Anyone else here 5 people in the chat, 5 people in watching still, which I appreciate. Thank you very much. Fire away with whatever you got. $762 Bank. Did you have access to M4s with 203s, or were those rare? No, we had some access to those. We also had like the standalone 40 mic launchers and stuff. Both the 203 variants and then the GL320 variants when those started coming onto the market and stuff. And then we had the we did have a couple of Romanian AKs with the Conblock style grenade launcher too. And again, some of our qualification, we have to qualify with those. Mark 19, we have to qualify with that too. So as a PMC contractor overseas on those contracts. So we had the Mark 19 as well on at some points. Yeah. Gotta love our helos. But yeah. And I mean that was my favorite. That was one of my favorite things in the Army too. Was the 203, because I had 203 on my M16A4. Like I was a rifleman grenadier guy for our fire team, and that was awesome. Loved that platform. I kind of wish I could get one again. Not the 37 millimeter civilian one that only fires flares. No, I want the real deal. Trying to talk my SOT buddy into getting one so I can play with it. It's cool when I can play with them on the job, but you know that's not terribly often, at least right now. So because I stopped all government contracts at the beginning of 2022. So unsafe DB level, do you feel like you were equipped sufficiently? One guy I know who worked in Iraq said they had to use shitty local AKs for several months until the imports came in. At times we had to work with what we got, what we could get. Most of the time, though, we were well equipped. Yeah, we had plenty of ammo. Some of the smaller companies probably suffered a little bit more just because of budgetary constraints and just the working logistics of things with acquisitions and stuff. But most of the time, I had no problem working, running AKs. So, some guys didn't want to use them. They wanted to use the M4s and stuff, but I had no problem with AKs. And if you're good at that type of work and you stay flexible, you're going to have the run of the litter, so I think we're sufficiently equipped on the contractor side. Yeah, definitely. Army side wasn't great at times. Military logistics, I mean, they could be a pain in the butt, but usually we had everything we needed. So Custer battles is what it is, right? You just got to be adaptive. You just got to stay adaptive. That's all I could say. That's something a lot of people don't, unless they've had a certain kind of upbringing here domestically. They don't, until you get into that kind of environment, work wise or whatever. Like you don't really get that experience of having to be flexible and having to adapt. To not just the situation, but just what you don't have a say in getting. Yeah, I figured you did on safe DB level. Logistics. It's a curse. It is a curse. Meet any Fijians? No. I mean, I met a couple of Samoans, not a Fijian. All the Samoans, though, they were like dudes in the army and stuff. I don't recall meeting any Fijians. Ran into a lot of Eastern European dudes, a lot of Brits, Italians. Had a couple of Belgian dudes floating around. A couple of South Africans here and there. And again, it depended on the kind of work you were into. Like, food service contracting, a lot of Central and South American people, apart from like Filipinos and stuff. You had like general contract, like HVAC and construction guys. You had people from all over. Um, when it came to the like armed, the actual security element stuff and all that, that was a lot of what I saw. So and interacted with, and most of them were cool, So some of those Eastern European guys can fucking drink. They drink Americans under the table any day, man. It was impressive. It's like when you have that month off and a 3 month on, 1 month off kind of rotations. That 1 month off, you can go anywhere you want. You don't have to stay in country. So a lot of dudes will some will go to Dubai, some will go to Bangkok, some will go back to Europe or whatever, and then just party it up for a month. That's that's what a lot of people do. So, oh god, yeah, no, so the driving was awful over there. There are no road rules over there. It's insane, dude. Absolutely insane driving over there. It was like that a lot in Mexico and Colombia too. I mean, there's some more rules of the road, but dude, no, everyone drives batshit crazy in those countries. Absolutely crazy, dude. Absolutely crazy. No, I mean, a running joke is a piss bottle solves everything. You need a driver to get out of your way, you throw a piss bottle at them. You want the kid to stop throwing a rock at you, you throw a piss bottle at them. You're pissed off at your TL and you give him a piece of your mind, you throw a piss bottle at him. No. That's the running joke. The piss bottle solves everything. uh, yeah, I had a great time with the European guys. A couple of trips to Europe and would go hang out with them. It was a good time. You ever have to drive sporadically to fit in? Yeah, well, you should drive. It depends on what you're doing. If you're being low profile, yeah, you got to fit in. You got to go with the flow and fit in with how the local people are driving. When it comes to more overt, you're running tactically and things like that. Like, nah, you do what you need to do and be aggressive and maneuver all the time and just 360 head on a swivel. Low profile, you want to blend in more, absolutely. So you're going to drive how they drive, which is batshit crazy. So a lot of horn use, a lot of honking. Um, that goes for a lot of places, not just the Middle East. People use their horn like crazy all over the place. So you know, it's it's a good way to fit in too while driving. You don't want to draw too much attention to yourself, but you know, this is how it is. Unsafe DB level. You ever work in Ecuador? No, but I have a buddy, expat. He has a channel called Fall Off the Map. He's a contractor electrician. He actually has a small farm in Ecuador. He lives there. His wife is Ecuadorian and all that. I've never been there, but I know at least one guy that lives there. It's been a few years since I've been to South America. A very nice business. Seem to have do with the MP5 front door in Quito, much lower key out in the country. Oh yeah. That's what I see and what the guy I know says. It's very laid back out in the countryside. Yeah. Fall off the map. He has some cool videos. I enjoy it. It's always good seeing him too. He doesn't upload too regularly, but he's actually coming back to the U.S. for some work. But yeah, he lives down there. No, I've been to Colombia, Mexico, Honduras, and El Salvador, and then I've been to Puerto Rico and some other places. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So a lot of executive protection work down there. So I wasn't doing PMC contracting down there or anything, even though there is some of that floating around. And in training, there's been a couple of training groups that have popped up in like Brazil and some other places that do some good training. That I've had the fortune of the privilege of being able to train with and stuff. But work wise, yeah, executive protection, all that, just those couple of countries, and it's good work, but you have the risks that you have to worry about. So pretty well known risks, nothing too out of pocket for understanding the nature of those groups and stuff of what you have to deal with. Nothing too out of pocket outside of that you have to worry about. So oh no, that's cool. That's even better. Visiting and vacationing is going to be better than having to go down for work. So that's awesome though. That's cool. Yeah, I would like to go to Ecuador. I want to go visit. I want to go visit Buddy and just kind of see the sights and stuff. And the food looks amazing. I love the food in Colombia and Mexico and stuff. Like it was fantastic. Best ceviche I've ever had is over in Cartagena. So good. Two Bank, were you guys on edge with the stay back 100-meter back, or make easy? Did it make it easier to ID enemies due to driving style and small elements? No, we had those signs for a time when we were really overt and like we're in Humvees and stuff, or like the Bearcats or whatever. But we stopped putting those on the SUVs fairly early on. You just had to go with the flow of traffic most of the time because, I mean, there's still a good percentage of Iraqis that were illiterate. Now there's a good percentage that are literate, but there's a good percentage that are illiterate. And outside of that, they just don't care. They're gonna do what they need to do. They're trying to get from point A to point B just like anyone else. And they're gonna drive how they're gonna drive. So you just have to adapt how you do things, how you conduct yourself, with especially in congested areas like Baghdad and Bayap and everything. You just have to adapt, Is a pucker factor there? Yeah. But you get used to it after a while. So you just do your job, stay alert and do your job. That's all. It's not like this super like wound and tight kind of thing like back in the military like it was then, because you're way more of a target there, even more so than a contractor, where you're shitting diamonds all the time. But it's not nearly as bad with contracting. I mean, you still obviously have to have your situational awareness and be on your A game 110% of the time, but just is what it is. Matthew Bartholomew, willing to share your scariest experience while working? Yeah, give me 1 second. Unsafe DB level, try the guinea pig. If you get to Ecuador. Man, they're kind of cute animals, but I will try it. I'm willing to try that. Yeah. I hear it's a good dish. Okay, Matthew. So scariest time in the Army. So JSS Falcon, Camp Al Sakr, which is southwest Baghdad. Pretty big joint security station, forward operating base. The year before I got there, so 2006, when the 4th ID was there, their ammo dump got hit. It got mortared, which was a fairly common occurrence at night. At least every other night, mortar and rocket attacks. But the ammo dump got hit while they were there, and that was a massive detonation. The worst thing that we experienced was a dump truck that was full of boom. It had to have been for like 4 tons of explosives packed into the bed of a dump truck. They were trying to run it through the gate of the JSS and detonate it. Same thing had happened in Ramadi not too long before, at Hotel Ramadi, out west. So we were kind of on alert for it already, and there had been several other large V-bids like that. But that truck was getting close to the gate, but it didn't get there. It was probably still about 500 meters away, and it ended up prematurely detonating. That was definitely one of the scariest things, army wise. And then contractor wise, I mean, with overseas PMC contracting in Iraq and stuff, the scariest thing was just a complex ambush. So mix of VBID, RPG attack, and then small arms fire. And that happened every once in a while, you know. So wasn't an uncommon occurrence, wasn't a common occurrence, somewhere in between. And just being the trunk monkey, you know, we're trained to drive through that situation, you know. Disabled vehicle, we're not going to leave them, but we need to keep moving. So we have to really be quick with the soft shackles to attach to that vehicle or to push that vehicle out of the kill zone. So because you have to keep moving. All the vehicles are on run flats, you know, things like that. So you have to move. You have to keep moving. You have to push through or reroute and get away from what's happening, the ambush. So just that kind of stuff, you know. A lot of evasive driving, and then we're getting PID, and you know, trying to stop the threat. So that's pretty common occurrence there. And then executive protection was one time there was an attempted robbery / kidnapping, where we had to stop the individuals from doing that. So, and that was very much more up close and personal. So, because that's executive protection, you know, that wasn't like a vehicle ambush or anything. That was on foot. So that was pretty hairy, and we definitely we got out of there pretty quick. We ended up leaving that night, flying out that night. We were like, nope, we're done. We're out of here. So the client meeting and everything was good. That was all good. So we were just like, nope, we're gone. So 762 Bank. Did you work with any Iraqi militias that fought with the coalition forces? I mean, yeah, they were around, and the private intelligence sector of the private security companies, apart from the intelligence sector of the government, you know, sometimes they will work with these guys to work with them to get local intelligence. You know, hey, is there anyone making bombs in the area, or they have information? Iraq is an interesting dynamic because you do have a lot of these warlords, for lack of a better word, with these militia forces. I mean, Mahdi Army was one of them. It was one of the largest groups like that, but they were an insurgent force too. Turn around sometime later, a lot of these forces were able to talk a lot of the warlords into having their forces join the Iraqi national military, or create a partnership security force of some kind. But you would interact and run into them every once in a while. The nature of the Middle East is very two-faced. One year that warlord could be on your side, the next year he's decided to side with some other people, and now they're threats to you. And it would flip-flop like that. That's how it was for a while anyway. Just is what it is. Understanding the dynamics of things over there, and it's very complicated. So you do have to get that human somehow. Absolutely, DB. Absolutely right. So, but I mean, most of them were fine. I mean, and setting up local security companies and security forces, a lot of time those warlord type guys, I mean, they had money, you know, so they would be the ones starting those companies. So a lot of time their security contractors locally were their militia guys. So training wise, yeah, bumped into the British 762. Yeah, bumped into the British training wise. And then overseas it was contracting. So ex paras, ex Royal Marines, whatever, you know, that went to contracting. That's who I ran into in Iraq. Not so much British forces over there. They had some rotations there, but a lot of the time they ended up going to Afghanistan. So, but earlier on there was more British presence. But yeah, plenty of British contractors floating around. Have you watched Triple Frontier? No, I have not. Which one is that? Is that the one? Is that the one where it's the guys doing it's like the Three Kings kind of thing, but they're in the tropics or whatever? Is that one? Hold on, Triple Frontier. Let me look that up real quick. Triple Frontier. Yeah. It's like a heist. It's like kind of like Three Kings, but in South America. No, I have not seen it. It was the trailers didn't really sell me, so I'll have to watch it though. Yeah, haven't watched that one, but I'll have to check it out at some point. So yeah, right. Haven't thought about Three Kings in a long time. It was a good movie. I enjoyed that one. Maybe I'll enjoy Triple Frontier then. I'll have to check it out. But yeah, Three Kings was great movie. Convertible Lexus, yeah, exactly. uh, another movie that people overlooked because the advertisements and the trailers for it were atrocious, but the movie was great. It's a movie called Proof of Life with Russell Crowe and Meg Ryan is in it. I enjoyed that movie quite a bit. So, for those that haven't seen Proof of Life, and you should go watch it. It's I think that movie came out in 2000 or 2001. Maybe 99, I can't remember. But Russell Crowe plays a character. He's a security advisor, security consultant working for a risk management group / insurance company doing kidnapping and ransom type stuff. Crisis response stuff and things like that. It kind of resonates with me because I've kind of worked into a little bit of that sector, working with some companies and peers and associates that do that kind of stuff. It's very interesting work. But that movie, Proof of Life, awesome movie. I really enjoyed that movie. So everyone should watch that if they haven't seen it. Yeah, it was about supposed to be like a fictional thing in South America, but it's like Colombia and FARC guerrillas, like straight up. Yeah, like a dude goes down. He's an engineer for a dam building project, and then he gets kidnapped by the FARC guerrillas, basically. And then Russell Crowe comes in, and he's like the crisis response K&R guy, consultant advisor that tries to negotiate the thing. And then at the end of the movie, they go and he actually goes with a team of guys to do an extraction. And then beginning of the movie starts out with him doing an extraction in Chechnya, which is awesome because I find that bit of history, the Chechen Wars and stuff, very interesting too. But no, great movie. I really enjoyed that movie. Everyone should watch Proof of Life. Substitute Bank. Familiar with Barry Rice? Man, name sounds familiar. Can't quite pin it. No, but it sounds familiar. Barry Rice. I'll try and jog my memory a little bit. Only Jerry Rice. 762 ever fired a PKM on a vehicle or just mounted, and if so, it's better than the American. Yeah, I love PKM. That was some of the times when I was trunk monkey in our vehicle. That's what I have as a PKM. Yeah, so out the back of a vehicle, like an SUV, sometimes up in a turret. Just depends on what vehicle we're in. But yeah, PKMs are cool. Open bolt system. It's about the same weight as a 240 Bravo. I mean that the 762 by 54R round it's a slapper. loud, but it's fun to shoot. It's a good platform, and it's reliable. I think the biggest issue with it is it doesn't not having the disintegrating links for the belt. I think that's his biggest downfall. Um, but it's good weapon platform otherwise. Blackwater Contractor, seen him many trailers of PKM. Oh yep. Okay, yep. I've never met him or anything, but yeah, no, I've seen the pictures. Fired an RPK, yep. Fired an RPK. Yep, those were floating around. There's a Romanian version, some Yugo versions, Egyptian, and then the Iraqis had their version. There were some other ones floating around too. Yeah, they were floating around. a lot of the security companies would just scour all of the arms bazaars and arms markets, but also try and find sourcing in these former con bloc countries for surplus weaponry and stuff, and then buy it and then import it and all that, or have it as part of their assets and move it around. Use it when they need to, and then wherever else. So that's it. Excuse me. Let me drink a little bit of my beer here. That is a 2-hour mark. So we're going to round it off here. This was a excellent Q&A. Went by really fast. Unsafe DB level. Remind me to RPK story later on Discord. Not appropriate for here. Oh, I look forward to hearing it. But yeah, so that'll about round it off here. So again, this is the monthly Q&A for September. Great questions between community posts and the engagement in the chat here. That was awesome. Thank you very much for everyone for tuning in and participating and asking great questions and having good topics to bring up and good conversation and all that jazz. So yeah, that was great. I appreciate it. I don't think you'd ever run out of questions, man. You just kept coming, and that's fine. I appreciate them. But yeah, so again, thank you everyone, and be sure to. I don't ask this often. I don't, because I'm not that kind of person. But if you feel so inclined to subscribe to my channel, please do. I appreciate it. I do all kinds of stuff. I got a lot of music stuff going on, a lot of bands, a lot of music projects. I got some albums coming out soon. More information coming. The video from Monday, that was an announcement for one of the albums coming out soon. I do a number of those things. I do a number of other things. Training, general activities, whatever, spice of life. I don't restrict my channel to just one thing. So that being said, thanks again, everyone, for tuning in and all of the great questions and topics and everything. And yeah, that'll about round it off here. So as always, metal up, stay adaptive, and stay lethal, folks. Eyes open.